Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's project. This week I have a 3x9 maple burl, very highly figured burl I picked up at my local Rockler store. Here I'm finding center, and then I'll be using a woodworm screw as usual in the 4-jaw chuck. I may be in the market for a 4-jaw chuck. If you guys have recommendations, please put them in the comments. So at around here, and I'm just using the bowl gouge, it's about 600 RPM here, so just truing it up. A little bit of a close-up shot here. Very light passes, trying to leave as much of the burl material as possible. Burls are not cheap. And sharing a slow motion clip. You can see just how barely the bowl gouge is touching the piece, and how fine the shavings are coming off. So working on the bottom now, truing up the bottom, and I will start to make the foot and round over the corner. On this one I decided to use a tenon. I usually use a mortise or make a foot with a mortise, and I decided to try a tenon this time, and I was reminded why I don't. I know there's controversy over which is better, but I tend to like a foot and a mortise. So making the tenon here. And there was nothing wrong with the tenon that I made, it's just not my preference to use. I dislike having to use the jumbo jaws and flip it around and take that off at the end. It's just another step that I don't really care to take. So rounding over the edge here, trying to decide on the shape of the bowl, and ultimately go for just a simple shape, round over. There we have the final shape, and I'm cleaning it with some denatured alcohol, and you can see how just gorgeous that grain is. It's not all one type of grain. There's like bird's eye, and then there's figure. So using a Scotch-Brite pad to denib. And I used the Scotch-Brite pad after I had put sanding sealer on it. So the sanding sealer I did off camera. Now I'm using the Axe abrasive paste. There's a link in the video description if you want to get some and try it. There is a coupon code PF10 to get 10% off your order. Thank you, Axe, for providing that. Now applying the Axe polishing paste, which will be the last step before we flip it around and do the inside. Really highlights the green in a subtle but very nice way. So I flipped around using the tenon in the 4-jawed chuck here, making sure it's as in balance as it can be, and using the bowl gouge to flatten off the top before I start the hollowing process. And yes, before anyone says anything or comments and is mad at me, I do not have a bowl saver corer, so there was no way that I could get 2 or 3 bowls out of this. I wish I could, but I've been saving this particular blank for a while, hoping that I could get at least 2 bowls out of it, but it just didn't. I didn't have the patience to wait any longer. So, and I really like how this turned out, so I'm happy that I did. But so I'm around 1,000 RPM here, and I'm just taking small passes, light passes to hollow it out. And yes, I did get a new tool rest. Thank you for your comments in the last video, or maybe it was the one before. So I really like this one. It is a robust tool rest. It worked really well for this one. Here you see me working on the curve on the inside of the bowl, trying to get the curve to be at a nice smooth angle around to the bottom. And you see me feeling for thickness there. And here I start the sanding process. I used 180. I used 80, 120, 150, 180, 220, 320, and 400. Denatured alcohol as usual to clean it off before applying sanding sealer. And you might want to close your eyes if you don't like putting color on wood, especially burls. So you've been warned. I knew I was going to put color on this when I started. I just didn't know exactly how or where. And when I finalized hollowing the bowl and saw the grain pattern, I knew that it needed to be the inside. So the stain that I'm using is from the Hampshire Sheen Intrinsic Color Collection. If you go to hampshiresheen.com, you can find these products. So stone blue and sky blue here I've applied, and I'm going to be sanding some of it back, as you see there. And this is to really try to get depth in the piece when adding other colors, because you don't just want to add color over color. It would look like mud, basically, because trust me, I've tried it. So combination of sanding with the lathe on and then some hand sanding to get areas sanded that I think need to be highlighted with this color, which is honey. And when you first do this in any way, whether it's these colors or other ones, the best thing to remember is to just keep going until you see what the final product is going to look like, because it looks really bad at the point where I put the honey on. It looks like, it just looks like a bunch of colors and nothing really planned. But as you sand more and put more on, I added some blue, and using the denatured alcohol also helps to show you what it's going to look like. Here I'm using sky blue again. So 3 colors in total on this piece. It's really just trial and error. And the worst that can happen is you don't like it and you sand or turn it all off and start over like a blank canvas. And how it's starting to turn out here, it reminds me of a seashell or the bottom of an ocean. Let me know what you think it looks like. Applying sanding sealer here. And if you've made it this far in the video and are enjoying what you see, please click that subscribe button and the thumbs up button. It really helps me out. The more people that like or comment or subscribe, it helps the YouTube algorithm know that people are liking the videos, so they present them to people more often in the suggested videos. So whatever you can do, that helps. So thanks. So after the sanding sealer dried, I'm applying the Axe abrasive paste and then the Axe polishing paste, just like on the outside. Time for the Axe polishing paste. Apply a thin coat. Rub it in really well, and then buff it in, and then buff it off. And for the last step, you turn the speed up to really buff it. Again, the link is in the description if you want to try out Axe made in the USA, and I highly recommend. I use it in almost all my projects. So taking it off the four-jaw chuck, giving a little close-up here. I still have to take that tenon off. In the jumbo jaws here, taking the tenon off, and some photos coming up here at the end, so stick around. And let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you like coloring wood or you cringe at the thought of it. Here are some photos. So until next week, peace out.